All right, so just so everybody knows, I came in at 7 o'clock this morning, ran through all the tests on the computer, everything works, and then we decided to start the meeting and everything decided to work except the sounds. So you can never plan for everything, but you know, hey, did my best. If you can just please give me some feedback on sound, we're gonna have to, let me move this over here because we'll have to stay over here.
Rearranging furniture, Jim?
Yeah. All right, so we'll probably have to stay over this way just to make
Yeah.
sure we can get some good sound. Turn up. I can't turn up the volume on this side. That's the volume on this side doesn't do anything on your end. This, unfortunately, we're using a little microphone stand here.
This turns up, no?
So we're using a stand microphone now because for some reason the Bluetooth ones that are connected to the speaker aren't working properly. So just bear with us. We'll get through this today. So you've got the blessing of being with Thomas the Promise and myself today for our weekly sales meetings.
It's been a long time.
Thomas was just saying he thinks the last time he was in this room here was in 2019 tour meeting. So it's about time we get the man, the myth, the legend back up here so we can do some talking for you and give you some information today. So I don't want to delay anymore. We're going to jump into some of our stats for our sales meeting. What we're going to do is we're going to banter back and forth and get some feedback from you guys on, we're going to get some feedback from you and give you some feedback on listings and sellers in this market. So it's a very complex, competitive, and challenging. There's a lot going on and a complicated market, a lot going on around there. And we'll talk about some specific circumstances and just some other ideas and things for you to discuss. So I'm going to jump in. We're going to go to our basic share screen out of here and into this. So we'll start off with our quotes. Thomas, take it away. Tell me what
The secret to getting ahead is getting started. Mark Twain. Yeah.
What's what Ryan and I were just talking about this morning is this is an information age, right? Where everybody knows what it takes to do something. And if you don't know, you can Google it, you can YouTube it, you can go find anything you want. It's an information age. So it doesn't matter how much you know. It's not enough to know. You have to know how. And then once you know how, you just have to take action. So that's why the secret to getting ahead is getting started. How many people know what it takes to get in the best shape of their life? Raise your hand. How many people knows what it takes to be a successful real estate agent? Raise your hand. How many of you are as successful as you want to be? Keep your hand raised or raise your hand. Not nearly as many. So just keep that in mind.
But just to add to that, not everyone does know, but there are people that do know. So you need to connect with those individuals to help you. Because when you think about, health or training, not everybody knows how to train correctly or diet correctly, but you can get a trainer, you can get a coach, a nutritionist, and they will help you along the way.
Yeah, so Craig just chatted in and said they're at the top agent report. So the reason that you're blessed with the two of us today instead of the rest of the full team is everybody's in Phoenix for a top agent report, a top agent event, and for our leadership summit. So the leadership that's there now, there's leadership is the brokers, managers, team leaders that are out there. And Craig, in his discussions, just in the first day, this is his feedback. Everyone in Phoenix is confused. They're really looking forward to Mike Meadler's report this AM to get an update. Everybody's confused. And these are your leaders, your brokers, top agents. These people, they know what it takes, but they're still confused because there's a lot going on in the market. And that's why I sent that email last night saying, you really got to get tuned in. You really got to get a good message. You really got to pay attention because this is what's going to make the difference. Next.
All of our dreams can come true if we have courage to pursue them. Walt Disney.
How many times was Walt Disney denied for Disney theme parks?
Many times.
By bankers and financiers. He was denied over 300 times for his idea to create Disney World, Disneyland. Yet we still have a huge 1,000-acre piece of land out there in Orlando and then over in California with those theme parks today, because he got started and he knew what his dream was and he didn't stop.
Also, just to add to that, Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
You think about him, he didn't get successful till he turned 80.
Yep.
You know, because all the denial. So I mean,
Good girl.
never too late.
This one, I love this one. The best time to plant a seed was 20 years ago. The second best time
Is now.
is now. That's what, so there's this, there's an introduction to this, to a podcast, and it's basically some success coach type people. And he says, a lot of times I start thinking about, man, I really wish I would have got started like sooner. I really wish I would have done this sooner. And he goes, but I always have to stop and tell myself, but you didn't. So shut up and do it now. None of that matters. You can't go back and change the past, but you can start over today and start doing something today and use that secret to getting started today.
It's hard to be the person who never gives up. You know, that's that old saying that when hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle, right? And you could be the hardest person in the room. And if anybody, if they can't match that, and because they got that mindset, they're not going to give up, guess what? You must have just joined the team with them, because those are people that are truly focused on what they want.
I love that story. Kobe Bryant, he's since passed away, but he was probably one of the best basketball players ever play. They went to a game that he was playing in, and one of his competitors showed up. He showed up 4 hours early to the stadium, and he got out, got changed, got out onto the court, and he heard a ball bouncing and going crazy. So he's like, what the heck? And he goes out there. Kobe Bryant was already there practicing. So he went out, laced up, started practicing. He was there for a couple hours. He's practicing, going through his drills. Finally, he sits down because he's tired. He's sitting there. Kobe's still practicing. Sits there and watches him for 30 minutes or so. Finally walks off the court, goes back into the back into the dressing room. Later on after the game, after Kobe wiped the floor with him, scored over 40 points that game, goes up to him and said, Kobe, man, what the hell? How do you have that much energy? He goes, I had to make sure that you knew that I was going to outlast you no matter how long you stayed out there. I had to make sure that you knew I was not going to stop and I wasn't going to give up. I would have stood out there I would have stood out there till the game started if I had to. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yep. If people are doubling how far you can go so far you can't hear them anymore.
Doubting.
Doubt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people are doubting how far you
Did
can
I
go. Yeah, doubling.
Doubling.
It's all good.
Hey man, that's why I gotta wear these things. Thank you.
It's all good.
Age, my God.
So we're well into the fourth quarter. We're almost at the end of the first month into the fourth quarter. We got 2 more months left. You probably got about 45 days to ink some deals and make some stuff happen before the end of the year. It's absolutely possible, because let me tell you what we've done so far for the month. So right now we have active listings on the market. We have 237 active listings. That's been up and down between 230 and 250 over the last 2 months, but that's a far cry from the 90 that we had on the market 4 or 5 months ago, for about a year prior to that. And it's a far cry from the 500 to 700 we typically have on the market. So if you're questioning what's going on in this market, well, we have 237 active listings. And in the month of October, we put 73 on the market, and 41 of them are already closed or already pending, already under contract. So more than half of the listings that went on the market are already under contract. So is it slowing down? Is it speeding up? Is it slow? Is it busy? Is it hard? Is it easy? Is it tough? Yes, it's all of them. So you have what'd you say about Lauren?
Oh yeah. So Lauren had a listing on a Friday and went in contract on Saturday. So it's a toss,
Do you know
right?
what the price was?
Oh, I don't recall.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so and it doesn't matter price. We have $900,000 listings that went on the market on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're under contract by Sunday. 2 of them in the same street, basically one street over from the other, went under contract in 5 days. But then we also have properties that are priced exactly how they should be based on the comps, and they aren't going under contract for 45 days, 60 days sometimes. So it's complex, it's complicated, and it's competitive out there. So just so you can see, our total volume worth of listings is over $162 million in listing volume that we have on the market. And if we were able to generate a sale for all of those 237 listings by the end of the year, that's another $4.8 million in gross closed commissions that your fellow colleagues have put on the market and made available for your buyers and for you to earn a commission on. That's quite an impressive number when you think about it and look at it.
560.
$560,000 price point in Hudson went under contract in a day. So, and then she's got one in Plant City that's, and also Seminole Heights, that's sitting for 60 days. So we have so far in the month of October, 82 closings so far for the month of October for 889,000 in gross closed commissions. That doesn't sound very impressive, but you have to consider that the first week of October was pretty much a wash when everybody was trying to recoil from the effects of the hurricane. So we lost a week there, but the saving grace is that you guys have still been working, and that pending to close by the end of the month, we've got about 99 deals pending to close for $1.396 million in gross closed commissions, totaling 2.285 if we close them all. We know that typically doesn't happen. We know we're going to have probably, of the 99, we'll probably have 20 to 30 that get held over in some way, shape, or form. So you're probably looking at a $1.7 to $1.9 million a month if all goes well. So what's that mean for you? Stay on top of your deals. Make sure that you submit deal sheets. Make sure you submit your addendums for closing dates. Make sure you let us know. I know that there's a lot of them that have been submitted already. It's only a Tuesday and a lot of stuff came in over the weekend that may not be updated, but just make sure you're staying on top of that. It really helps us as a company project for what we're moving forward to. Of those 99 that are pending to close, you got over, it's basically about half and half listing and buy side, and then 13 were double sides. So that just shows that we're still taking listings, we're still writing offers. And if you put a listing on the market, you're pretty much guaranteed a sale and a closing and commission if you price it properly and you do the things that you strategize to do to make sure you get it sold. So those are our stats for the month of October. Moving on to our birthdays, we'll give some shout outs here. So
let's put them on. Brenda Monroe Felipe on the 26th of October. Donna Reckenbach, Sarah Trout are all on the 26th. And then we have David Howard. I guess I should tell them what office too, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's the way they do it. See, I haven't been doing this in a while. All right.
You do how you want to do it. This is Thomas's game, everybody.
All right, that works too. So the 27th, we got David Howard from the Apollo Beach office, Diana Bumilla from Mira Beach, and Janina Malenska, Mira Beach. I'm butchering these names here. And then we got Dick Wilson on the 29th from Sun City, and Kathy McKinnon from Indian Rocks, Danielle Segato from Indian Rocks on the 30th, Ken Davis on the 30th is Brandon, Shannon Smith at Apollo Beach on the 30th, and then Madeline Morea on the 30th for B3, Pasco and Hernando, and then on the 31st of October, got Raquel Arnando at Sun City. Congratulations, happy birthday to all of you.
So the topic that we wanted to kind of talk about is mainly focus on listings. So in this market where buyers are a little uneasy about interest rates, unsure of what they need to do, buyers who are buying right now typically are buyers who need to buy, or they've made it well known to themselves that they must buy a home now. Like we were talking about one last week, this gentleman lives down here in Ruskin, works in South Tampa, and just said, look, I need to sell this home. I'm done with this commute. He made it an absolute must for him. So one thing I want you to keep in mind is just don't prejudge anyone. I know we say a lot that buyers who are buying now need to buy, but also some people have made it a must that they need to buy right now, even though it's not an absolute need. It's an absolute must for them, like someone like that. I need to relocate. I don't want to do this commute anymore. It's killing me. I want to be closer to my job, so I'm going to sell my home and make sure I can do that. Same thing with your sellers. All of your sellers have equity.
Correct.
Over the last 3 years, we've gained about 70%, over 70% appreciation on all of our homes in the greater Tampa Bay area on average, right in that range. Even if home prices stay consistent or don't appreciate any further, we're still going to see some pretty solid numbers. And a lot of your sellers have a lot of equity and they have a great equity position. So they all deserve to have a conversation with you about their equity position. We just want to talk about how you can build trust with them, how you can kind of give them some input along the way of what they need to be doing. I've got some direct stories of somebody who just called me Sunday and said, I need to sell my home, and just how much they didn't know about what was going on the buy side, even though they're using an agent in New Smyrna. and how much they don't know about what's going on in the market. So we'll just give you some input on that and some feedback that you can talk to them about.
Also, what's interesting too, there's some sellers that want to just get that equity out of their home, and they don't mind renting for a year, right? Because in their mind, price is going to drop, right?
Yeah.
So they'll take that hit just to go ahead and take advantage of the equity in their home, and then a year later they may start looking. So again, just a conversation, correct?
Yep. So the main point you're saying is basically a seller's going to sell when they're ready to sell. There's nothing that you're going to do that's going to make them sell any sooner.
Correct.
You are not going to force someone to sell. You are not going to force someone to buy. You don't have that kind of power to tell a buyer that this is the home you're going to buy, or you don't have the power to tell a seller, all right, you're going to sell it right now. You don't have that power. They're going to sell when they're ready to sell. And it's your job to get in the way and have those conversations with them so that you can build that trust with them. So you're the person that they're ready to use when they are ready to sell. That's your job. And right now it's really important that you're doing those things. Right now, it's about that mind share that you have with these sellers and your past clients and the people in your sphere. You need to create more mind share before you can ever expect to have their market share. So right now, you need to start making sure you're having those conversations with them, doing everything you can to build the rapport back with them, especially coming into the holidays.
Right.
What is everybody going to be doing over the next 2 months? 2 to 3 months. Some people will be taking off,
Vacation,
a lot of
traveling.
agents, vacations, but what else? Holidays. What happens on holidays? Get with family. What does everybody's family member have? A real estate license. Everybody's got a family member. Everybody's got a friend. Everybody's got somebody's brother's, sister's, cousin's friend who's coming to the Thanksgiving who has one, or they all have another friend who's in real estate. And if you are not top of mind with them now going into the next couple months, there's a possibility that their brother, sisters, cousins, friends, Goldfish's sister got a real estate license and they might use them. So I think it's really important that you start having those conversations now. So for you, start using your tools, start using your DISC, your DISC, start understanding who those people are, knowing how you got to communicate with them, using visual and auditory and kinesthetic cues that they give you, mirror and matching them when you're communicating with them and conversing with them. Make sure you're having those conversations, because right now this is all long-term play. This is all about follow-up, especially for your past clients and especially for your sphere.
And just even talking about follow-up, because the holidays are coming, if you have past clients, it should be Happy Thanksgiving, it should be Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Those cards and stuff need to start going out now and let them know, right? Keep type of mind. I know that some people used to use magnets, but some of the new refrigerators don't do magnets, but they do it on the side. You know what I mean? So, I mean, whatever you can do, just, for them to think of you, just like Chris said, everybody family has a real estate or has a realtor. So let them think of you instead of them. Make sense?
Yep. Even if you don't expect to get the business, at least try to get the position to interview for the job.
Correct.
I always, I think we're going to use my brother's sister, my brother's sister-in-law, or my friend has a boyfriend that does this. Just your job is to interview for that job. I want the opportunity to interview for the job. Let me step in and let me at least discuss with you what we do at Century 21 Beggins and how we can help position you in a different way. If you use me, use me. If you don't, fine. I don't even care if you're still automatically going to use them. I think it's worth having a conversation with me. Because when somebody gets out there and screws up that listing and they cancel it or they decide not to sell, you're the first person they're going to call. The same reason that you keep following up with FSBOs, you keep following up with the FSBO, you keep following up with the FSBO, because at some point, all the other ones are going to fall off. All the other agents calling them are going to fall off, or they're going to screw up, and you're the one that's going to be standing there because you've been tried and true with all of your follow-up and communication. So this is really just about becoming valuable. Your whole job over this next couple of months is to become the most valuable person in their world. And the only way you can do that is by connecting with them, by actually getting out there with the intent of providing that value and not trying just to get their business and just to get a listing. So how do you become more valuable to them? How do you become the most valuable person in their world? Well, a really simple way, which we'll talk about a little bit later, I've said the story a million times. All you have to be is top of mind to them. There's that study that went out, the #1 agent in any real estate market. There was not a #1 agent that stood out. They came through, they created a fake real estate agent, did an 8-week mailer, mailed 8 times in a row for 8 weeks in a row, They surveyed them again and they said that the agent that they created, the fake real estate agent that didn't exist, never sold a home in their life, became the #1 real estate agent in that market based on their awareness of him mailing those mailers out. So he became valuable to them just because he was top of mind. So how can you create more value? Well, there's a lot of different ways. We'll talk about those a little bit further on, but just keep that in mind. Your job is to become the most valuable person in their world, and you have to be top of mind to do that. What did Lauren say?
Definitely saw the cards.
Lauren said, definitely send out cards, preferred client club. If you're not using your preferred client club for your past clients, you're missing out. It's anywhere from $25 to $45 for 2 to 5 years. It's an excellent program. Send a little personal note, maybe send a lottery ticket. Everything goes a long way. They reach out and thank me every time. Yeah, she just becomes valuable and they become aware of her. So niche down to a micro market, become a master. 8-week mailer, that guy became a master of that neighborhood, wasn't even a real estate agent, just from sending an 8-week mailer. Imagine if you went even further than that, started a Facebook page, started connecting with people inside of a farm, use some of your social media to start really connecting with them, mailing out to them. It makes a big difference. Can that be issued after closing if missed? John, reach out to Angelique, send Angelique a message. I believe it can. I just don't know how long after the closing you can put them in for it. But send Angelique an email and she'll let you know.
And those niche, when you think about your community, the community that you live in would be probably a really good place to start, right? If you're in an HOA community, I mean, you know all the rules, you know everything about that community. And the last thing you want to do is see someone else's sign right next to you, right next to your house. That's kind of brutal, right? So definitely want to just have those conversations with your neighbors.
Well, why did you just told me this morning that your neighbor reached out to you and is considering selling? Why did he reach out to you?
Because the relationship I built with them over time.
And how have you built that relationship?
Just, talking to them when I'm passing by, sitting down, just chatting. I never went anywhere with them. I did go to this church, but yeah, those little things do help, right? But at the end of the day, it's about building relationships.
So just by having the communication, the connection, having relationships, talking with people, don't keep your head down, don't just put your head down and walk around.
In passing, just wave, hi,
People actually do
good morning, good night, something.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, people actually do.
No, because neighbors, right? They don't want, whatever they're going through, they don't want to talk to anyone, right?
Yep.
I get it. We all been there.
So here's some ideas of people. Here's some ideas of people that you can help that may need to sell in different avenues for you to go after, that you can start communicating with. For sale by owners, huge right now.
Huge.
The last 2 years, a for sale by owner could put their home in the market and sell it on their own. They'll probably screw the contract up, lose some money, leave something on the table, create some problems for themselves. And now there's still people that don't follow up, don't have the same information that you do with the market, and they still think that they can do it on their own. They need to hear from you now more than ever. A lot of them are going to be pulling their homes off the market, and you need to be top of mind with them and start communicating with them, because if it was on the market now, it's probably going to go on the market at some other time, and now's a good time to start having those communications. There's a ton of things that you can do for them. A really simple one, we have a for sale by owner guide in Moxie, and there's a for sale by owner guide in Dotloop. You can just email them. You can text them the Moxie link. You can call them and then text them the Moxie link after that for the for sale by owner guide. Just tell them, I just want to help. Here's a guide that's going to help you sell your home on your own if you go through this diligently and use all these things.
And I believe they just updated the sale by owner guide too as well.
Yep.
So
It's brand new and just updated in Moxie in a nice presentation for you. There's a ton of things you can offer them. We had somebody who was offering to do open houses. I'll do an open house for sale by owner and get buyers. What's the percentage of open houses that where the home is actually sold to someone who comes through the open house? It's very slim. Most people don't come to the open house and buy the open house. It doesn't typically happen, but it's an opportunity for the agent to get buyers, and it's an opportunity for you to build rapport.
Don't forget to get your commission agreement signed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Prior to the open house.
That's a huge thing for sale by owner. Hey, if I bring you a buyer, would you be willing to pay me? Or if I do an open house, would you be willing to pay me?
Right.
Would you mind signing this form? And all it says is that if I am able to procure a specific buyer during this time period, that you'll compensate me. And just know your commission agreement says, if I bring you this buyer, John Smith, or any other buyer within a 180-day period.
Correct.
Expired, canceled, withdrawn listings. These are another big opportunity.
Mhm.
How many people have put their home on the market with an agent who doesn't have the knowledge of what's transpiring and still tried to list their home $20,000, $50,000 higher than the comps, told the seller it was going to sell. The market's crazy. The market's nuts. It's going to sell. We're having multiple offers, buyers paying over, and put it on the market expecting that, and it didn't happen. Go through and look up your expireds and see how many came off the market within 7 days. Look, there's a ton that have come off market in 7 to 14 days because it didn't sell in the 7 to 14 days. That was improper expectations being set. And you've got a ton of opportunity right there.
Yeah, so the past clients, I mean, I just talked about that, right? Give them options, right? Have a conversation, because we don't want to have that commission breath, right? So you can talk about, you know, maybe a cash out. A lot of people not going to be doing refinances. Why? Because the rates are higher, right? It doesn't make sense if it's not 1% or less, right? So at the end of the day, what we can talk about, you know, maybe taking some of the equity out of their home and actually, you know, looking maybe to do an investment home or something of that nature, right? So there's just many different ways that you can sit down, and also don't forget to do a net sheet with them, so they can actually see how much they're gonna, you know, a guesstimate of what they're gonna put in their bank account. Okay, that's really, really important, because typically we give them a price, but we don't necessarily show them. We need to ask them how much they owe on their home, so they can really see exactly, you know, what they're gonna take home. So it's very, very important.
The equity is still there to do HELOCs.
Yes.
That's why we can still get properties on the market, give seller concessions, and not have to worry a whole lot about appraisals, because the equity is still there. The comps are still there to get those prices. I did an equity line to make some money available to buy investment properties, and I've already used mine. So there's a lot of people that might be in a position to do that, especially the ones who think that the market's going to do this.
Mhm.
If they get an equity line open now to put themselves in a position for when they think the market's going to go down, you are just able to provide some value to them, whether they end up using it or not. You provided some value to them. I have a past client that I stay in touch with who called me on Sunday out of nowhere, Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Hey, we found a house in New Smyrna Beach that we want to buy, but they told us our home needs to be on the market. Can you come over today? Okay, go over, start talking with them. They have to sell this home to buy that one. They had no idea about any of the buy before you sell programs, no idea about the removal of contingencies that might put them in a better position. They have no idea about a 2-1 buy down. They had no idea about getting credits from the seller. Their agent didn't tell them anything about getting credits from the seller to buy the points down or to cover closing costs, or that the market has been shifting a little bit. It might put them in a better position on the buy side. Let me ask you a question. If you're writing a contingent offer, do you have to make your offer better, or can you still come in and just offer whatever the hell you wanted and hope it gets accepted? Do you think you might have to make a better, higher offer with a contingent offer?
Absolutely.
If I have a crappy term in my offer, I might need to make the rest of the offer that much better.
Yep.
My
Absolutely.
my price might need to be a little higher.
Mhm.
So they're looking at a $440,000 home and wanted to offer 410 with a contingent offer. I'm not representing them. I'm not trying to get involved with that. But let me just tell you, there's a couple programs you have enough equity that might work for you to remove a contingency prior to buying.
Mhm.
And if you spent 1% to remove the contingency, which is $440,000 on the new purchase, $4,400. If you spent 1%, do you think you might be able to offer a non-contingent offer that's more in your favor and also get some credits from the seller, maybe to buy down an interest rate or to cover some other fees? They said, oh, we never thought about that. Do you think that you can offer them 1% less and ask for a credit and get some more incentives on the other side? I personally think you could. So I said, well, you're thinking of offering 410. What if you offered 430 and got a $12,000 credit that you bought the rate down with, and maybe used a small portion of that to pay the 1% to remove your contingency, use the rest to buy the rate down? And we did some math, and the payment would be the same as if they offered 410. They were going to have the same payment offering 410 with a contingency going through that as they would offering 430, buying the rate down and then removing the contingency. So those are the conversations that you can be having with some of the sellers. The sellers don't understand or don't think about those things. That's why you need to be talking to your past clients. A lot of them may be in a position that they want to move and it might not make sense, but we can also show them how ways it might make sense for them. And if not, you're going to be in a better position when they can move.
Geographical farming. I talked about that already.
Yeah, so we covered and talked a little bit about farming. That's a huge one, especially for the long term. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Make sure you're getting into a farm. I've been telling people now, if you're doing just listed and just sold, adopt that small little 20 to 50 homes around your listing as a mini farm. Do an 8-week campaign through that list, through them, put them on RSP Pro. If somebody inquires on it, do another 8-week campaign on them. They don't all have to be mailers. You can go put flyers on their door. You can knock on their door. You can deliver a net sheet. You can give them information along the way.
So absentee owners, I mean, you can go and Remine, you can look for that as well. If you do get in contact, and just have a conversation with them in regards to the care of the property, because what you're basically trying to do is make a friend, right? The last thing you want to do is say, oh, you know what, I noticed your home was vacant and I just want to see if you want to sell it. I mean, how many people have that same conversation, right? Right, exactly. Well, I noticed that, your lawn is kind of high and, the shrubs is kind of like that. I do have a landscaper, you can go ahead and introduce them to that. Something that's going to help them, right? Something you want to build a relationship with. And the more you build a relationship with these individuals, the more they're going to trust you and more likely to do business with you.
So you're not interested in selling. That's excellent. That must mean that you've got a pretty good tenant in there and you're happy with your investment in Riverview, Valrico, Madeira Beach, wherever. Yeah, we've been very happy with it. Are you interested in buying more? I see that you paid cash for this property, because you can see that information. Have you considered possibly getting an equity line on that? Because there are certain lenders that will do equity lines on investment properties that give you that it's going to be higher rates, but you can do it. Have you considered buying other properties? If you're happy with this investment, wouldn't it make sense to kind of get into another one possibly? I can show you that. I'm also talking to a lot of people like you who aren't happy with their investment because they're not a seasoned investor like yourself. And they might be interested in selling. I could get a connection going. Would that be something you're interested in? Yeah. Why wouldn't they? They're all going to say yes. Keep me in mind. Why wouldn't you? Especially if you have a good investment going. If somebody called me about my property in Valrico and said, yeah, were you thinking of selling? No, absolutely not. I'm very happy with it. Well, what if I could connect you with someone else willing to sell for a good price? Would you be willing to look into that and maybe buy that? Sure, I'd be happy. Keep me posted. Bring me an opportunity. Why wouldn't you? And then
also too, at the same time, maybe they're not looking to sell and they don't have a tenant in there. You could list it to lease, correct? So it's still another, a way to make money.
Yep. Yeah, you can put a tenant in there.
Yep.
What's the rents right now are pretty decent, $2,000 a month for most of our average homes.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a $2,000 check.
Exactly.
Okay. Sell scores, that's some in Remind. I'm thinking of selling, just be top of mind. Here's just a list of some different things that you can provide. I've got a ton of ideas. If you want to know different things that you can provide on, like say, an 8-week mailer campaign, something that you can go week after week after week, get with us. We've got some great information that we can put you on and we can show you what to do and how to create that. I think a real big thing here is asking questions.
Yep.
If you're not asking questions of them, most people go into any relationship, they're usually going in trying to tell them something, because the majority of people that you're competing with aren't very true to life sales professionals. They're not going into it with the attitude of I need to ask questions and learn more. They're going into it with the attitude I'm trying to get a commission. I'm trying to get a sale. I want to get another deal. If you go into it with the attitude of trying to help, you got to ask them questions. You have to know where they stand, what they're doing. The more questions you have, the better informed you're going to be.
Right. I mean, it's all about gathering information, correct? And just like Chris said, the more information you have, the more you're able to help them, right? Without the questions and the knowledge, we're lost. Does that make sense?
What are our scripts?
Asking questions.
What are our scripts? A series of what?
Questions.
Questions.
Yes.
That's all it is. It's
Yep.
a series of questions. Questions and answers, repeating and improving, going through those, getting to understand them. And what are you supposed to do when you call them back? I remember you said this and you wanted to move here by then, or you were thinking of doing that, or you were happy with your investment there and your tenant was doing wonderful here. Asking questions and repeating and confirming, letting them know that you were paying attention and listening. Now, this is this is the part where you have to have a certain level of influence over them. And when you have good rapport with them, you're able to help influence them more. It's not trying to make them do something. It's trying to influence them with the information that you have so they can make the best decision for them. In this market, is it a good or bad thing to offer more commission or less commission? More commission. Are you worth 6%, 5%, 4%? Are the companies still doing 1.5% listings? Are there builders offering buyers $25,000 to $30,000 in incentives,
Yes.
rate buy downs, free refinances? Are the builders offering tons of stuff like that?
Absolutely.
No premium home sites? Are there builders
Absolutely.
offering this?
Yep.
Yep. Are they going to be competing with all those things when they go into market?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do we need to be able to tell these people when they're going to be going on the market to compete with this? We need to be able to give them all of this information. Like if a buyer has the ability to buy the same exact home that your seller has, yours is 4 years old, they could buy a brand new one, same floor plan, and it's not going to be too big of a difference in price, but the builder's going to give them $20,000 in closing costs. The builder's going to offer them, we'll give you a free refi within 18 months if you use our lender. Plus, by the way, you get some design center incentives if you do half off your design center, and you can get a brand new home for the same price. Which one do you think they'll probably choose? If they can wait,
Yeah.
why wouldn't they?
Correct.
So your seller has to put themselves in a better position. You have to be able to compete with that. How do you compete with that? Offering more commission, making sure that you stand up for your value, get a 6% commission, offer 3% to the buyer's agent, offer possible bonuses.
Yep.
We'll show you the whole list of things we've talked about before, different ideas, but offer them to do that. Plus, if you're competing with brand new, should you do a pre-listing inspection?
Absolutely.
Right now, Brandon Engel with Survey Eagle is going to offer pre-listing inspections for $400, $299 up front, and then $100 paid at closing. So if your seller's in a position where they think they would like to do that, he'll do $299 up front and $100 paid at closing. 4-point wind mitigation inspection, and then he'll come out and re-inspect and give you a clean report once you make the repairs on what's out there. These are the things that you should be doing. What are the main reasons contracts cancel? Inspections and what? Appraisals and financing. So 50% of the time inspections, 50% of the reason they may cancel is financing and appraisals. If you can remove 50% of the possibility that your contract may cancel, don't you think it's worth spending $300 or $400 to do an inspection up front to get that out of the way? Especially when we can put that out there and say, hey, we got a certified pre-loved home. Offer them a warranty. It's going to put you in a better position.
I think you about covered it there.
I think one of the biggest things I tell people is, look, my job is not to tell you what your home is worth. A lot of people want us to tell them what their home is worth. Your home is worth what a buyer's willing to pay the day they decide to buy. My job is to tell you what it's going to take to sell your home. Your job is to determine how much of that you're willing to do to make sure you get that home sold. I'll tell you a range of value that your home should sell within if you're willing to do those things. My confidence gets lower the higher in that range we go, and it gets higher the lower in the range we go. I want to help you put as much money in your pocket as possible, but here's the things that you will need to do in order to have the best opportunity to sell. My job is to tell you what it's going to take to sell your home, and your job is to do what it takes to sell your home or determine how much of that you're willing to do to make sure it sells. So a lot of people are really leaning on us for price. How do you price a home when you see the neighbors that are, your competition is priced exactly how the comps should be priced and it's on the market for 30 to 60 days? How do you do that? How do you do that? But how do you justify that? I'm going to show you a pricing analysis that shows your competition is priced exactly like the sold comps and it's been on market for 60 days. How do you do that?
Price it less and let them know that their house being higher is going to help sell theirs.
You let them know. Well, first of all, let's look at what the pending sales are doing. If there's pending sales, that's going to show a trajectory in the market. Maybe they're a little bit lower. Well, these people, they priced it right, but it didn't sell. These people priced it a little bit lower, or look, they offered this much commission, or they offered a bonus. They disclosed everything that was there. They did an inspection up front and it's under contract already. So which one would we go with? The ones that are sold or the ones that are pending? I would lean more on the pending sales. Your sold comps are within the last 6 months. Your pending sales is what a buyer said, I'm willing to put an offer in on the last 30 days. You know that you can call another agent and ask them, hey, how's everything going? You can start asking questions of them. They're not supposed to tell you the price they want under contract for. But if you just ask questions and
Me
don't,
too.
but if you don't ask that specific question and you just do, hey, can you tell me a little bit about how many showings did you have? Are you close to the list price? Are you above? Are you under? How would it go? Tell me a little. Oh yeah, we got our asking price. They'll do it almost every time.
Every time.
You can have those conversations with them to give yourself a better, an upper hand. Call the ones that are active. Can you tell me what kind of activity you're getting? We had a ton of activity the first 7 days and everything just fell off after that. So you can do that, put yourself in a better position. These are all things that help give you some influencing power over the seller to be able to give them this information. This is what you need to be advising them of. We can tell you, we can price a home exactly how it should be priced based on the comps, and it still might not go under contract. And then my job is to tell you what it's going to take to sell your home once we're in that position. Your job is to determine how low you're willing to go or how much you're willing to do to make that happen. I don't want you to go to the bottom of your barrel, but I need to know, tell me, what is the number you'd be comfortable selling this home at in order to get out of this by the end of the year? What is that number? Not how low are you willing to go? What's the number if I said, like, if we went to this number, we have a really strong chance of selling the home. What is that number? And if you could get out of this home by the end of the year and you would be at that number above, you'd be happy. What is that number? And when they tell you that number, create a strategy to start reducing or removing or adding incentives or bonuses to get to that number, to keep them there, to try and sell it by the end of the year if that's what they really want.
Yep.
Say if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. I'm okay with that. Are you? I want to create the sale, but if it doesn't sell, is that okay with you? If they say yes, fine. If they say no, then we need to have a different discussion.
I always say either they're helping the competition or they are the competition. One of the two.
It's true. Here's a list of some things you can do to help with incentives. If you want to reread off a few of those, put the glasses back on.
Freedom Boat Club membership for the buyer. Are you guys familiar with that? Offer money towards closing costs. I mean, that's huge right now. So with the incentives, concessions, just like Chris talked about earlier, especially if you're in one of those communities where they're still building new homes, you definitely want to have some incentives there.
The closing costs too, make sure you have the buyer talk to their lender. Like we've talked about, a $10,000 credit towards their closing costs, depending on their position, might not be as valuable as a $10,000 credit that they use towards a rate buy down to help their payment.
Right.
If this is going to be a forever home or a long-term home, more than 7 years, it might be a good idea to consider that as well.
And for what I understand, the 2-1 buy down is like probably the best thing to go right now, because they even talked about the adjustable rates. There's really no advantage right now with that. So yeah, exactly.
On that same line, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I'm gonna send another email invite out. We have an innovative lending class at 1 o'clock. It'll be on Zoom and live in this room. He's going to talk about the 2-to-1 buy down. He's going to talk about some other different ideas that you can use on the lending perspective and how it will affect their payment, how it will affect their closing costs, how it will affect their loan, and help give you some ideas for your buyers and for your sellers to offer, because you can offer it on the seller side as well.
HOA dues for a year or more, CDD fees, a year or more, home warranty. I'm just running through this because of time. Home inspections. We talked about the certified pre-love home, stage to home, virtual staging, interest buy down. We talked about that earlier. Pay for pods for moving services, flooring credits, annual passes to theme parks. That's an interesting one. Landscaping services, house cleaning, pool services. I mean, house cleaning, you can probably have someone do that like for a month. You know, I have someone come to my place every other week. It's only like $100 or something. So that's something that's pretty cool. Pool services, mosquito control, especially living on the water, pest control, AC service, hurricane shutter installs, Florida living package, where they have the AC service, hurricane shutters, pool service, and pest control, include allowance to install smart home packages. That's the alarm systems and cameras. Prepay a year or two for security services and moving package, gift card or groceries, essentials for your home. So those are just great ways to create some type of incentives for your buyers and sellers.
I read something the other day. It said that here's one way you can increase your home's value by $10,000 for less than $3,000. And they talked about the smart home package. The national averages showed a smart home, a home that was marketed as a smart home sold for on average $10,000 more than the national average price. And you can create a smart home out of your house by adding the doorbell,
Mhm.
the thermostat, and
Yep.
Alexa, some different lighting options that you have in there, Wi-Fi speakers, things like that, for less than $2,000 to $3,000, and you can get a really, really good package. And on average, it's selling for $10,000 more nationwide.
It's huge. And sometimes I talk to my mother, she's in New York, I'm 75 years old. I'm on the phone, she's like, Alexa, turn off the lights. You know, it's just like, it's just little things they just love to do. So it's, it works. So I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter the age group, okay?
Lastly, before we sign off at 9:30, almost right on time. Lastly, before we sign off, we want to talk about the top producer, the top agent event is in Phoenix right now. The leadership event is going on as well. This is what it takes to be a top producer. You get an invite if you are master's level production or above. This year was $165,000 was the base. If you sold $165,000 in gross commissions or above, you were master's level or above, you got an invite to the top agent. If you got that invite, we paid for your ticket to go to the top agent retreat. And then you had to pay for your airfare to get there. And we also paid for one night of your hotel room, I believe, as well.
No, it's just
Centurion, we paid for the hotel, but we just
Hotel.
did the ticket for Masters.
correct.
So these numbers are probably going to go up because the Centurion producers this year was $320,000 for 2022, $320,000 and up. 320. Last year, it was 280. So it went up $40,000. They base these numbers on the national averages. The national averages have gone up and skyrocketed, and they're not going to come down in the next couple months. They're going to stay fairly high, so you can expect an increase in this number of units and AGC for your top producer. So you're going to have to do at least $300,000 or more, 330 or more to be a Centurion, and you're going to probably have to do at least 165 or more to be masters or above, and that'll get you an invite to the top agent. Okay. This is yours.
Success at anything will always come down to this: focus and effort. We control both. Would you agree? Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us for this portion of the meeting. You guys break off into your individual office meetings. If you have any needs or input, just like I said, if you don't get a hold of your manager or broker, when you try to reach out to them, they are at a leadership summit right now. So feel free to reach out to myself, Thomas, Kat, she's still around. I know they will be answering your phone, but if for some reason you can't get them, just reach out to us. We're happy to help. And if you need anything else, please feel free to get in touch and we will talk with you all soon. Have a great day.
Thank you.